familiar to. All right. The things that we learn in these classes are not commonplace, in our everyday lives. So in order for you to have a chance um, at finding success, as a trader, it's going to require you to approach trading a little bit differently. Okay. Um, I kind of wish my brother was on here because, my dad was a little bit unorthodox, with us growing up. He was very, very harsh, very, very business-like, about studying and whatnot. He used to tell us, like he had a job, and his job was to put food on the table and all this other crap. And our job was to go to school, And he was like, I can't go to work and give a C effort, because I can't bring home C money, He said, I got to bring home A or B money, like I have to bring home the money because I got to feed you guys, put clothes on you guys back. So we couldn't bring home a C, right? As long as we brought home A's and B's, there was no drama and no whoopings. We used to get whoopings. We, that's just how it was. There was no questions asked. It wasn't, what didn't you understand? No. The time for talking is in between the report cards. So the time for action is when you get that report card. When you get that report card, it was going to determine whether or not you was going to get a beating. And that's how it went. So I kind of grew up with that mindset, So the first, we had to bring home every book. I know everything is different now, but back in the day you had textbooks. Some were thick and some were not so thick, but we had to bring home every book. So my backpack looked like it was about to explode. And we walked about a mile to school, or my stepmom would pick us up or whatever. But the point that I'm making from all of this is we had to learn first how to study, and then two, once we learned how to study, that kind of developed good study habits. And in a lot of ways, that shaped, I guess the rest of my life. And in some cases or some situations, I'm always looking, at people, throughout, as I went throughout life, especially in the Army, when people didn't get things, I didn't understand why they didn't get it. I just kind of assumed that everybody knew how to study. I didn't take into consideration that my dad was, such an asinine guy that that he was unorthodox, and his requirements weren't commonplace, and especially among my Black male friends, right? So a lot of times, maybe they didn't have a dad in the picture, and nobody ever taught them how to study. A lot of my study habits came from, Bible study. Like I used to hate reading, but he used to make us read scriptures out loud. And then that Negro had the audacity to make you talk about what you just read. And I'm like, what? I don't understand it, but he never accepted that as an answer. So, you fast forward to the guy I am today. Whenever I teach something or I try to give information to people, I kind of assume that people are doing what I would do, right? So, I give you that story and I say this in a roundabout way, but man, you have to take notes. Like if you don't have a notebook dealing with all things Forex, I'm not sure about your seriousness, right? And I know that's not a fair statement, right? Because everybody doesn't do things the same way. But you have to have a notebook. You have to take notes. Um, I don't expect everybody to be me, and everybody to approach Forex the way I approach Forex. I don't expect Forex to consume you guys the way it consumed me, but the learning curve for Forex is still going to be the learning curve, right? Um, my brother had a great analogy, about learning Forex. He's like, man, Forex is like learning a language. It's kind of like when a baby is born, you bring the baby into the world, you talk to the baby in whatever language you're talking to that baby. And the baby doesn't understand, right away. The baby just cries and, you know, gets your attention through that. And until he or she can understand the language and then speak the language and then eventually write the language. And eventually, these are full sentences. But if you think about that process of that baby learning that language and then being able to read and write that language, man, we're talking about 5, 6, 7 years, right? If you read a fifth grader's, uh, if they write a short story, you laugh at the way that they write or whatever, but this person has been actively studying and learning the language for 10 years, 10 years. And this is what Forex is, right? Forex is a different language. It's something that we are learning now. So if you're not approaching it, in that manner, then I want you to expect your results to be delayed in the same way, right? If you can't remember, um, what classes that we've had during this 10-week session, then you're not going to remember what was discussed in those classes. You're not going to remember the highlights of those classes. Maybe you'll remember a few key points here and there, right? But you're not going to look at a chart and pull the information off the chart, in an orderly fashion, or you're not going to understand where you're supposed to look. Oh, I forgot that. That's how our mind works, especially as adults. We have a million other things going on. So sometimes we tend to compartmentalize things, but when we're learning something new, that could be to our detriment because we could skip steps. So I would encourage everybody, to go get a Forex notebook, right? Uh, maybe you have several notebooks. Maybe you just have a sheet of paper today. You're writing things down, but you need to be able to take that sheet of paper and put it somewhere where you can start forming a story, right? The story will tell you about order blocks, right? What are order blocks? Why are they important? Then it'll take you to imbalances, right? These are forms of liquidity, right? Then you can start spotting liquidity on the chart. Then you understand that price moves towards these liquidity. It moves from order blocks, to imbalances or to other order blocks, right? Meanwhile, it takes out the liquidity on its way. Then you'll start looking at Wyckoff, that's the market changing directions, then you'll look at market structure. All of these things are going to feed into the ideas and the trade setups that you take on a day-to-day basis. And then you don't need me or anybody else to find your trade setups. You kind of find your own trade setups. You know why you feel a certain way about your trade setups. You throw in a little fundamental analysis, and now you're choosing trades. You're ranking your trades on your own. Maybe you still use the weekly meeting to either confirm your suspicions or maybe even get other ideas because you didn't show up either prepared or you didn't look at that other pair. So I just want to reiterate the importance of not only showing up for the meetings, but take good notes and take them with take them with seriousness, right? Like, I want you to understand, like, these are what you're going to have to rely on when you're doing some studying by yourself, right? And Forex does require uh, self-study. And, I think I mentioned yesterday that, the thing that I will always appreciate about Ruby in her course, and the money that I dropped on that course, those, over the year or whatever, year and a half that I was there, is the fact that I learned an outline, right? Like, I knew every subject that I needed to go study by myself, right? Um, Ruby gave me an overview, basically. I had to still go and study risk management, right? She didn't break it down the way that I would have liked for it to be broken down, but I don't blame her for that, right? She introduced the subject to me. Now I needed to go and study. It's the same way the teacher introduces, whatever subject you're about to study in math. Now you have to go home and do homework, and you have to study so that you understand it the way that you need to understand it for you to be effective when you take your test. And our test in Forex is whether or not we can execute that trade. First, we have to be able to spot it. Then we have to be able to get a good entry and exit point. And then we have to execute the trade while it's going on. So these things, all of these things are going to be important to you. And each week when we come to this session, I do my damnedest to give you everything that I can give you, as a person who's been there, right? Everything that I can try to throw at you to maybe give you an understanding, or maybe even just crack some curiosity so that you can go further. The real learning doesn't happen in our hour session or whatever. It happens, once I get off of here and you crack it open yourself. Because I can go to the charts and point out 1,000 different setups. I can give you 1,000 different ways that I would approach a situation, but that's because I have that experience and I have those thousands of hours of back testing, right? And real trading, and I lost thousands of dollars doing it. So I try to give you things that either made an impact on me or motivated me to become better, right? And with that in mind, the people who have been with me for a year or so, we have I guess a video that I always play, right? It's Oliver Velez video that made a serious impact on me. I studied a lot of Oliver Velez. He's an older trader. He doesn't trade smart money concepts, but he has a trading style that works for him, right? And what I want you to understand or get from this video is that everybody, right? Everybody came here for a reason. I didn't know you from Adam or Eve in the beginning. Somehow we found each other. So at some point, you're going to have to determine whether trading is really for you. You came here, you're curious about it. Maybe you've already made a decision that you're going to be a trader. But this does require real effort and real work. It's going to require, blood, sweat, and tears, so to speak, right? And the sweat and tears are very literal, right? If you haven't cried yet, in Forex, I can't really take you seriously. We all have a vision. We all have a dream, but a dream, without putting some work behind it is just a dream, right? It's not a vision. It's a dream. It's something that'll never happen. It's a nice thought. but it would never happen. But if you have a dream and you're willing to walk, 1,000 miles for that dream, then that dream turns into a vision, and it's very real, right? It's a destination. It's like putting an address in your phone. You're going to get to your destination. All you do is follow the instructions on the address. So I want to play this video. It's about 20 minutes. A lot of you who have been with me for a while have watched this video, but it's probably good for you to watch it again. And then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit, not only about this video, but about some things, some requirements and some goals. All right. So we all know the pros of being a day trader, money, but money is not going to, if you're here for money, if you're here because you want to become rich, you should probably close your computer and just go find something else to do. All right. Because becoming rich, you can do that in a lot of different ways, and this is probably not the best way to do it. Money comes from you being good at something. Money comes from you putting effort into something, you doing a process over and over again, whether that's, if you look at professional athletes, they fell in love with that sport. They played it all their lives. They went to college doing it and they got drafted and now they're professional athletes. But it's something, they weren't professionals for 20 years. 20 years they did it for free. They did it for the love of it because they loved doing it. And they fell in love with the process of getting better at dribbling, at shooting, at guarding, at defending, in a basketball scenario, or football, catching, hitting, getting stronger, countless hours in the gym. Nobody was paying them. They weren't even getting paid hundreds of dollars, let alone millions. So the process ended up paying off for those guys. And it's the same with Forex, right? Forex, the money is going to be a byproduct of the work that you put in. And if you're not putting in insane amounts of work, don't expect insane amounts of money. That's just how it works. So we all understand the pros of day trading. We're here because of the pros. We want to free up our time. We want to make a little extra cash. Maybe, just maybe, if we dedicate enough time, we can become wealthy, right? We can generate income, generational wealth, but that requires a lot of time from us. I don't want anybody to be lied to, right? So I'm going to let Oliver Velez, go on his little speech about the cons of day trading, because this really stuck with me. It's not the pros that we need to understand. We need to understand the downside of this.
Velez, for not sticking the cons in your face. Every time I grab a mic, every time I have been offered the ability to speak from a stage or a podium or speak into a mic, whether it's from my desk or whether it's for an organization or whether it's for a trading group, for the last 26 years, being a devoted evangelist for this industry, I have never skipped an opportunity to put the cons in your face, because I think the cons, understanding them, is actually more important than recognizing and understanding the pros. Let's get to the cons. Con number one is the most important con of all. The odds are against you. Traders, listen to me carefully. The odds are against you. Traders, listen to me carefully. The odds are against you. One more time, listen to me carefully. You will never be able to fault me for failing to tell you this, for failing to put it in your face, for failing to shout it as loud as I possibly can. The odds are against you. Why? Because there's a 92% failure rate in the short-term oriented trading space. That's right. 92% of every one of you listening here will fail. 92% won't make it, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you work at it, no matter what your intentions are. 92% failure rate, and not me, not any firm in the United States, not any firm internationally, not any expert, not any mentor, not any trader, not any trainer, not any mentor can change this statistical fact. It is etched in stone. 92% failure rate. Now breathe that in, traders. I need you to understand this. I need you to understand what you're up against, because you ultimately, at the end of the day, are going to have to answer this question. This one very, very important question, traders. You're going to have to answer this. Do you understand? You're going to have to answer this. Do I have what it takes to be the 8%? Guys, this is a simple game, but it's not easy. There is a huge difference between simplicity and easy. It's simple. Markets go up, markets go down. Sometimes they go sideways. 3 possibilities: up, down, sideways, up, down, sideways. That's a simple rudimentary mechanism. But I am the last person on planet Earth that will tell you that this activity called day trading in particular is easy. It's not easy. In fact, it's one of the most challenging activities you as a human being will ever pick up. Do you know why? Because in order for there to even be a hope for mastering the market, you have to first master yourself. And let's face it, how many people actually master themselves in this world? How many people actually reach a point where they do what they say they're going to do? How many people really keep their promises to their kids, their wives, their husbands, their community at large, their societies, their personal God? Very few people reach the point in their life in anything where they have accumulated or accomplished self-mastery. But the only way to have any chance at success at this is to first master yourself. You can't take an unmastered you into the market and think that there's going to be success in the market. You can't take an undisciplined you and go find success. You can't take an untrained you and go into the market with your untrained self and think that you and your untrained state is going to pull money out of the markets. Won't happen. You can't be an ill-informed individual and take your ill-informed self into the market and pull money out of the markets. You can't take your unmastered self. You can't take your undisciplined self. You can't take your untrained self. You can't take your uneducated self. You can't take your uninformed self. You can't take who you are right now without changing yourself first. You can't take who you are right now and take who you are right now in the market and expect the market to give you money. So what must happen? You must first change. You must first go through a metamorphosis. You must first become educated. You must first become discipline. Discipline is not something you're born with. It's something you work on, like your muscles. You got to hit this thing up every couple of days, every day of the week, if you will, to build that muscle, to build that, to build that capability. You have to work on becoming disciplined. You have to work on becoming educated. You have to work on becoming experienced. This work happens first. And it is this work that transforms who you are. Then you take the transformed you into the market, and it is that transformed you that starts producing progress. But if you think that you can stay who you are without putting work into creating the change you need in yourself, if you think that there's just, I take this 2-day course and I go into the market, 2 days, it's not enough to change who you are. Take this 2-day course, go into the market, open up an account, and I should become rich in the next few weeks, then you should really find another freaking planet to work on, because you are living somewhere in outer space, not here on planet Earth. I don't know about any other planets, but that doesn't work here, not on planet Earth. I have yet to do intergalactic travel. I'm waiting for Elon Musk or somebody to make that possible. But until then, I only know what the situation here is on planet Earth. This industry has a 92% failure rate, largely because people don't want to go through what it takes to become someone different first. They want to stay who they are and take who they are into the market and take money out of the market. It will never happen. My mother used to say, Oliver, never say never. Oh, never say never, Oliver. Well, I'm telling you, Mom, sorry, never. Let me say it again. Never. All right, guys. I know I'm silly, but it's a point worth. I'm telling you, it's a point worth belaboring. All right. 92% failure rate. Get it locked into your head. Most people know nothing about financial markets. They think they do. Oh, well, the market goes up and the market goes down, right, Oliver? That's it? Yeah, that's pretty. Most people know nothing about financial markets. That's a con. And here's another big one, guys. Success comes after experience, and experience takes time, years. You can't be an experienced trader in 2 days. You can't be an experienced trader in 2 weeks. You can't be an experienced trader in 2 months. Becoming experienced takes time. You can't cheat experience. All right. Anything good that happens before you are experienced is called luck, traders. Only what happens after experience can you claim as yours. Listen to me carefully. You can't become successful before you become experienced. Get this in your head, people. You cannot experience true, real success before you become experienced. True, real success comes after you become experienced. And what's required to become experienced? Time. This is what people do not want to put into this. They want a microwave. They want a microwave results. Can I have my gourmet meal in 15 seconds? No, you cannot. This is the number one reason why there are so many scams in this industry, because these scammers, right, which even I, believe it or not, have been accused of. Are you kidding me? Putting this truth in your face? How? But this is the number one reason that scammers in this industry get away with their scams, because they sell you on the idea that anyone can do this. They do not tell you that 92% of the people are going to fail. They do not tell you that this is difficult. They do not tell you that you're going to fail first until you become experienced. They do not tell you that experience takes time. They do not tell you that success happens after experience. And before your experience, you're going to be a loser. The reason why, how many people are in this room? There's 427 people in this room instead of 40,000 people in this room. Do you know why? Do you know why there's only 400 people here instead of 40,000 people? Because I tell you this truth, 92% of you are not going to make it. There's only 400 people here because I tell you that success comes after experience. There's only 400 people here because I tell you that experience takes time. There's only 400 people here because I tell you what's real in this industry. If I went at 40,000 people in this room, I would constantly preach from every podium I can that everyone can do this, that you're all going to be successful, that it doesn't take time. Just follow these 3 things and get rich. I would have 40,000 people in this room. But I will never do that. You learn how to win in this business by first learning how to lose. Can I repeat that for you? You learn how to win by first learning how to lose. What does that mean, traders? You're going to lose first. What does that mean? You are going to become an expert loser before you see a single dollar, before you get winning trades consistently, before you call yourself a success, before you start to support yourself with this activity. You are going to be one of the greatest losing traders you have ever seen. You're going to become an expert at losing. You're going to become so intimate with losing, you're going to feel like this is just your natural state. You lose your way to success in this business. There is no way to win first, because winning doesn't come before your experience. Experience comes after you have lost tens of thousands of times. Guys, listen to me carefully. I get very, very emotional about this, and I apologize. It's just the way it is. It's just me. I get emotional about this because I need all of you to understand this. There is a direct link between how much you lose first and how successful you are later. And isn't it ironic that what all of you are trying to do is you're trying not to lose the very thing that you need to do. The very thing that you need to do now is to lose as much as you possibly can to get the losses out of the way now. You don't want the losses in the future. Just get the losses out of the way. Become so intimate with losing. Become so intimate with every possible error, every possible mistake. Know it like the back of your hand, so that at some point, the market can no longer fool you. The market can no longer trick you. The market can no longer surprise you. You've been there. You've done that. You know every possible mistake that can be made. You know every possible error, every booby trap, every dead end. The market loses its ability to punch you without you seeing the punch coming. How do you get to that state? You become an expert loser. Why is this a con? It's a con because most people don't have enough money to get through the losing period that happens first. First of all, they enter the game with this Mickey Mouse Disney idea that I'm supposed to win from day one. This is not Disney World. I'm sorry. This is not a Disney movie. This is real life. It is impossible for you to win until you become experienced. And it is impossible to become experienced until after you have become the #1 expert at what? Losing. How does a baby learn to walk? By running first? Wait, I'm going to learn to walk by sprinting first in the Olympics. Then I'll learn to walk later. No, a baby learns to walk by first trying to stand and falling. Standing, falling. Trying to stand, fall, 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 fall less. Fall less. Stable, don't fall often. Take a step, fall. Take a step, fall. Take a step, fall. Take 2 steps, fall. Take 2 steps, fall. Take 3 steps, falling, 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 until the baby becomes so intimate with falling and all the reasons for falling that he naturally starts to avoid the reasons, but not before becoming intimate with every possible way to fall. Doctors tell us that parents who overly protect their children from falling wind up with clumsy kids. Zero athletic ability because they weren't allowed to fall enough. You lose your way to success at this business. Why is this a con? It's a con for 2 reasons. Number one, most people start off with a tiny bit of capital, and then they lose it because the first period has to be lost. The first period of a baby learning to walk has to be falling. You're always bad at something in the beginning. Always. First time you pick up a basketball, you're horrible. First time you put a golf club in your hands, you're really horrible. My golfers out there know that. The first time you try to kick a soccer ball and control it, you're horrible. The first time you try to walk, you're horrible. The first time you try to talk, you're terrible at it. You are bad at everything you start off, but somehow when it comes to this activity called day trading, that all of your common sense leaves your God-given head for some reason. And for some reason, this is the only activity that life is supposed to be different. No, I'm supposed to be good at this from day one, right? Really? You don't apply that common sense measure to anything else in life. But when it comes to this, you expect to be good right away. You expect not to fall. You expect not to lose. You expect to make the ball in the basket every single time. The first time you pick up a basketball, really? How can that be? Why is this supposed to be the exception to you? You're going to be bad at this. You're going to lose your money first. Absolutely. You're going to fall first. It's just the way life is. Again, I don't know about life on other planets. We're still waiting. But life here, you lose first in everything. In everything. Do you understand what I'm saying? Are you picking up what I'm laying down? Am I talking too much? I am frustrated at the level of naivete, and I am frustrated at I'm frustrated at the lack.
All right. You kind of get the gist of what Oliver is saying, right? Did you guys understand the message? Everybody, just drop a 2 in the chat if you understood the message. You know, there are a few other things on the on this con sheet, right? Crappy mentors, the capital that it takes to trade, the capital part you can get around by getting in a demo account, right? You will at least know what you're doing while you're in your demo account. But what a demo will not give you is the emotional attachment to real money, the emotional attachment that you have when you live trade. But if you know what you're doing, it's easier to work your emotions out, down the line, because you will have seen your setups play out over and over and over, right? I always say if you can make $100,000 in a demo, you can darn sure do it in a real account, right? It may take you a little bit more time because you might be scared of the lot sizes, but the concept is the same, right? I mean, if you deliberately take a demo from 10,000 to 100,000, you can do the same thing in a live account. So it's very important that you take your notes, right? It's very important that you learn the concepts, right? I'm going to give you the concepts, right? I'm also going to give you the sources. Every video that we watched, I've told you where you can find that video. I didn't just do that to blab it out. I want you to go and look at it on your own time. I want you to go and give it some thought. I want you to go and re-watch the video without my 2 cents, right? That's where the real learning takes place. It's not me introducing the video or the concept to you. Yeah, that's cool. That's cute. But where the real learning takes place is for you to go back on your own, rewatch the video, right? Because I don't know where you are as a trader as far as reading charts. I know where I am, but I didn't wake up at this point, right? Like I spent a lot, I mean, a lot of hours learning these concepts, trying to apply these concepts, looking at the charts, going back to it, after several months, giving up on it, repicking it up later. I study Oliver Velez. I can tell you about the position of power. I can tell you about moving averages. I understand his system of trading, right? But you guys are going to have to go and pick up and learn these different methods and these different things, because at the end of the day, successful traders make money, right? They earn a living by doing this. So everything that they're telling you works, right? Smart money concepts, they work. Retail methods, they work. But neither will work without you being disciplined and waiting for your setup. If you're profit watching, if you're watching somebody else who's trading something, you try to hop in the trade, it's not going to work. You don't even understand the setup. You don't know why they took the trade 9 times out of 10, right? How many times have you seen somebody post, I'm in Euro USD for a long, and you just hop in for a long without even looking at the chart? I've been there, right? I've done that. It does not work. And even if you find success in that method the first time, it's a killer because you start doing it a lot and you start getting slaughtered. You don't know what their reason for entering that trade. Maybe they're going long, but they didn't have a great entry, so they're going in drawdown. Maybe your lot size is too big for that drawdown, right? So you have to be able to find your own setup. You have to be able to understand the concepts before you get into a trade. You know, in your best virtue is going to be patience, right? If you're not a patient person, you're going to get some. Trading will teach you patience, or it'll just teach you how to run up a big bill. You know, it will definitely cost its weight, you know, in gold if you're not a patient person. So trading will teach you those valuable lessons. And as far as experience, you know, I can really appreciate what Oliver Velez is talking about with experience, because, you know, I used to hold trades forever, you know. That was a strong suit of mine. You know, it doesn't work as well these days with the war going on. It doesn't work as well these days with uncertainty in the market. Like, you can still find setups and you can still find some that work, but the market is a lot more volatile. Maybe if I took a longer range approach and traded a monthly chart, you know, it would play out better, right? But what I decided to do was drop down and learn how to scalp, and I had to develop my own method for scalping, and it wasn't any shortcuts. You know, I talked to people who trade the lower time frames, but at the end of the day, I had to go and I had to learn how to make it make sense for me, right? And you know, for the most part, I've done that in a method that makes sense for me. Now, it still might not be scalping to somebody who actually scalps the 1 minute or the 5 minute, right? I'm not there. You know, when I scalp, I want to use the hour and the 15 minute. So maybe that's an intraday trade to somebody else, which is cool. I don't care what you call it. I call it success. You know, it works for me. So you have to develop these things that work for you and fit them around your schedule, your life, your personality. And I can't help you with that. I can only introduce you to the concept, right? Who you are as a person, you're going to have to work that out. And you know, here's the thing, guys. You're going to work it out now, or you're going to work it out later, right? If you're a greedy person, you're going to work that out now, or you're going to work it out later. Even, like, I'm not even talking about as a trader. I'm just talking about as a person in general, right? If you cheat, you have to work that out. If you're a cheater, you're going to have to work it out now. You're going to work it out later. You know, whether you're working it out via trading or you're working it out via your failed relationships. If you can't be a committed person, you're going to work it out now, work it out later, you know, with your God, you know, with your belief system or whatever. This is not anything new. It doesn't require anything new. It requires the basics, right? The things that our parents taught us as kids. These are basics, you know. Nobody told us to become hoodlums when we got out of the house. As soon as you left your mom's house, you stopped doing something that she told you to do. Whether it's, hey, don't go to sleep without washing your dishes. Man, mama ain't here. I'm going to sleep with a sink full of dishes. Maybe that invited bugs, or maybe you had bugs next door because you didn't live like mama. You didn't go out of your mama's house and buy your own house on the same block. You have to grow into your lifestyle. You have to grow into who you're going to become as a trader. Nothing changes. These are all concepts that we were taught by whoever raised us, grandparents, parents, siblings. They all tried to teach you, uh, the value of hard work, the value of commitment. They tried to give you these tools. So now as a trader, all you're doing is honing in on these tools. You're sharpening these tools. So self-discipline is a must, right? You have to be self-disciplined. If you like cookies, you can't just eat a diet of cookies. I mean, you can, but you're going to die early. You can't just eat a diet of fried food. You can, but you're going to die early. So as a trader, it's the same thing, man. Like you're going to lose some trades. That's part of this business. Just like you're going to have bad days at work. So why over leverage when you know that you're going to lose? Why cheat if you know you're going to get caught? There's no cheater that's never been caught. No, none. We've all been caught. So why do you go and do it? You have to work these things out. And you either do it now as you learn how to trade, or you'll do it later in life. But they're still going to get worked out. So you may as well work them out now, right? Like trading can provide you with so many things. The part of that video that you didn't see was when you start learning to trade, sometimes you're gonna drive away the people that you love the most, the people that you're doing this for. Whether it's your husband, your immediate family, your brothers, your sisters, right? Nobody understands why you're obsessed with trying to trade. They're gonna tell you, man, it's a pipe dream, dude. What are you doing? What are you talking about, man? You get a job like everybody else. You'll never be a day trader. I don't know anybody who's made $1 million trade. You ain't gonna be the first person. You don't have any real education. You didn't go to school for this, right? Nobody is going to support you until you find a level of success. Then people will come around, and kind of start supporting you, right? And then once they see your lifestyle change, then they'll really start supporting you. So you can't do this thinking that somebody is going to come and rescue you. Somebody is going to give you the support system that you need. You have to be able to do this with the understanding that this might be a Gary Owens situation. You might have to stand alone until you find success. But you have to make that decision as a trader, and you have to go through it, right? There are several examples of people who have made it, right? And who are doing the things and living the type of life that you want to live. But you have to be able to take that vision, that dream, and turn it into a vision, right? You can't just daydream about it. You have to understand how to actively do work, right? That means dedicating 15 minutes a day to studying. That's cool. Do it. 30 minutes a day, whatever. Eventually, you're going to start dedicating more and more time to it, because you're going to understand that that's what this requires, right? The learning curve for trading is thick, because it's not a language that we speak. But once you learn to speak the language, and you start understanding some of the concepts, then you'll find out the execution phase is also a challenge, because you're emotional, right? But I've watched several of you go from your gaga goo goo phase to now walking. You might be a toddler, you might not be running yet, but you're darn sure walking. You understand how not to get hurt. You understand you're not buying accounts every week. It's amazing how many times my debit card got used on my Osprey FX account. Burned through them $60,000. But it was a education that was worth every penny, you know. And what I'm trying to do for you guys is to give you a piece of that education at a fraction of the cost, right? At a fraction of the cost. The cost is, you know, your prop firm account. And you don't necessarily have to run out and get a prop firm account every day or every other day, you know. But the important thing is, once you get to a point in your demo where you understand the concepts and the setups and you start making money in your demo, then you have to take that. The next step is to get a prop account, right? Trade with somebody else's money. And then you understand the pressures of trying to make a certain amount, you know. And, you know, here's a beautiful thing. Once you really start to grasp this, you can make any dollar amount that you want, right? It depends on your account size. But most account sizes, you can make whatever desired dollar amount you want. You know, you just have to pick your setup, and you know, each setup is going to be weighted, right? You're going to understand what setups work and what setups may work, right? So when you find your setups that work, you'll be able to go a little bit heavier, maybe not AT heavy, but a little bit heavier on that setup, and it's going to give you a little bit more money, right? So I say all that to say, you need to take great notes, right? You need to have a notebook. You need to have a system that you go to every time, right? This has to become important to you. And your why is going to be the driving force behind your study habits, right? You pick up good study habits, it's going to make sense faster. You're going to learn with less bumps and bruises, right? It's going to be like walking around the house with the lights on versus walking around the house with the lights off. So please understand that there are going to be levels and there are going to be ups and downs, right? I'm going to give you the concepts. I'm going to give you the videos that works for me, and that will at least pique an interest for you, right? Everybody is not going to learn at the same pace, but if you keep taking steps, you're going to eventually get to your destination. And at some point during your journey, if you taking these steps, you're going to pick up a light jog, right? Because you're going to realize, hey man, like I'm actually walking towards my destination. I want to get there a little faster, so I'm gonna pick up a light jog. You're going to study more, right? Now you're going to start sprinting when you see the end, because hey man, I'm almost there. I need to pick it up. And then, you know, you're going to realize that you've dedicated countless hours to this skill set, to this craft, right? So I don't want you guys to get in a habit of saying this will never happen or this may happen, right? It all starts with a dream, right? And then that dream, you have to turn it into a vision, you know, and you turn that into a vision by actually taking steps to achieve what you want to achieve on the other side of that dream, and that's to become a trader. You're here for that very reason. You're trying to learn smart money concepts. I can help you with that, right? And the key word being help. You know, I can't make it happen for you, but I can help you. I can assist you. I can shorten that learning curve by maybe explaining things that you don't understand, or giving you some sources and resources that will explain it further or differently than I explain it, right? So don't ever hesitate to reach out and ask, but please understand that this is going to require time and effort on your part, right? If I ask you what videos we watch, you should be able to pick up a piece of paper and spit that out. Whenever you come to these webinars, it should never be empty-handed. It should always be with a pen and paper, because hopefully, you know, you'll get a concept dropped on you that maybe you need to write down, or you need to go research, or maybe there's something that we do on the charts that you need to come back to and relook at, right? I do record these things, which is cool, but how many of you have watched, every recording that we've done? I haven't, but it's something it's going to have to become that important to you. Like, you're going to have to go find this information and make it make sense for you. So you have to be able to take a concept, develop a strategy that works for you, that fits your personality. That might be trading the 1 minute and 5 minute chart. It's not that doesn't work for me, but that might work for you. You might be a fast twitch person. You might be an impatient person, but these concepts work on every level. So just because I don't do this on a 5 or 1 minute chart doesn't mean that it's not possible, right? So DC says there's nothing that could have prepared me for the emotional toll it takes. I agree, man. Like, you can't explain that piece to people. Like, they have to kind of experience that. I can tell you that, about the tears and the frustration and all that, but you have to kind of experience it to understand what that really means. So what I would like to happen, we've been at this an hour. I really want you guys to kind of, do you have any questions over any of the videos that we cover? At any point during the smart money introduction, any of the videos, any of the concepts? And there are crickets.
I do. This is Rosa, and I have a problem understanding the imbalances. I can spot the order blocks, but I still can't spot imbalances.
Okay, let's talk about imbalance. Okay, when we speak of imbalance, right? First of all, in order to have an imbalance, we want to see the market expand, right? And in this case, it expanded down, right?
We can't see your screen.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so in order to have an imbalance, you need expansion. Like, when the market is doing this right here, there is no imbalance. An imbalance happens when the market expands. It does it rapidly, right? And in this case, it dropped. It expanded to the downside. Does that make sense, Rosa?
Yes, I see that.
Okay, so let's talk about healthy price action. So when you go to the store, right, and you buy something, the customer or the store has a product that you need, and you have the money you exchange for the process, right? There has to be a buyer and a seller, right?
Yes.
So the same thing needs to happen in the market. So in this case, when you see these red candles, this represents who? Buyers or sellers?
The sellers.
That's right. So these wicks, though, these wicks means that the price came down and it bought back up, right?
Yes.
So these wicks you can look at as the buyer, the wicks on the top of the candle. So in order to have healthy price action, you want to see, you see this wick right here?
Yes.
Once this price drop, the wick on this candle needs to meet up with the wick on this candle.
Okay.
So the price, price came down and went back up. The buyers bought it up. Then it sold. The buyers need to buy it back up to the bottom of this third candle. So in a 3-candle series, you need the wicks to touch. So in this case, this blue area that I've drawn out is the imbalance, because there are no buyers. Buyers bought up to here, but they need to be involved all the way up to this, the wick in this candle. And if you drop down, see there's no wick on this candle, the bottom of this candle. That means the wick on this third candle should have bought all the way up to this candle, because the red represents the sellers, but there is no buyer representation.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
See the wick on this candle?
Yes.
The wick on this candle should have bought all the way up to the wick on this candle, right?
Oh, okay.
This is called healthy price action. And if you have healthy price action, you have a smooth market. But when you have these wicks, eventually, sometime in the future, price is going to have to come back up to close these imbalances, to mitigate these imbalances. And that's how you know where price heads as a trader, right? So
Yeah.
if you think about the concept, right? When you have a break of structure, right? If you zoom out, you see market structure, this is the low, price retraces, then it comes down and it breaks, it goes lower to a new low. You see that?
Yes.
So there are some traders that will sit out here and be like, hey man, I'm not selling this until price comes back up to the order block or the imbalance, right? That caused this low. So now they're sitting, they're waiting for price to come back up to this area, and then they'll take a short. And they can take a short all the way down to this low right here, as low as this market has went. So this trade setup will give you 5.4%. You see it? Now,
Yes.
if I scaled down and found the exact point, maybe I can shrink this stop loss. Right now, this is a 15 pip stop loss, which isn't bad. I put the stop loss right above this high right here, which is an order block. But if you scale down, you can probably make it a shorter stop. But this trade setup is going to pay somebody 5.4%. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And it's because we understand that these imbalances, this is a form of liquidity that needs to be taken care of.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So, Rosa, at some point, what you need to do, and anybody else, you know, you're the one that spoke up. There are other people who on this call who don't understand imbalances either. But if you go to YouTube and you type in Forex, right? Imbalances. They're going to give you 1,000 different videos, right?
Okay.
This guy, Mint FX, he explains it very well. You know, maybe those videos are the ones you want to watch. There are 1,000 different, you know, instructors or mentors or gurus or whatever who will explain, you know, what an imbalance is, how to spot imbalance, right? So you don't have to rely on the way I explain it. Maybe somebody else can explain it in a better way, right? That you will get it, right? The point is, I'm introducing you to the concept of what the imbalance is. You have to kind of have somebody explain it to you where you get it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay.
So this girl, Savannah, she explains imbalances too. She's very successful. She's very cocky, but very successful. maybe you'll get it from her. And this goes for anybody on the call who's struggling, or maybe who doesn't understand something that we bring up. All you have to do is go to YouTube, type in what you're looking for, and there'll be 3 or 4 different videos at least that will explain the same concept. And maybe you need to look at all 3 of them. You know, maybe you need to look at all 6 of them, and you will get an understanding of what you're looking for. But it's very important for your understanding that you understand what an imbalance is. If you go back through on my YouTube page, you'll see the class that we did on imbalance, right? It's probably going to be about an hour long. There are some videos on YouTube that are less than an hour long, but please don't shy away from it because it's a longer video. But if you have the time, watch the video. This video right here is 21 minutes and 51 seconds, right? The class that we had was a little bit longer. So just understand that there are several different ways that you can go and find the information you're looking for.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, no problem. Does anybody else have something that they don't understand or that they need broken down?
Good morning. Sometimes I get puzzled, like whether the trade would go up or down. Like based on where it is, I get confused.
So the directional bias.
Yes.
So, all right, let's talk about that, Rhonda. Why do you get confused?
I don't know, maybe because I have a mindset.
Okay, let's talk about this trade, AUD chef. Where are we going to start? When you start analyzing a pair, in fact, I don't want to pick the pair. You pick the pair. What pair do you trade?
I've been working with Euro USD.
All right, let's talk about it. Where do you start with Euro USD? This is for anybody. Directional bias. Where do you start with this, Rhonda? Where do you go? If you're gonna analyze this pair, where are we gonna start?
I start on the weekly.
Okay, can I make a suggestion? Let's start on the monthly.
Okay.
Why are we starting on a monthly? Why do you think I want to start on a monthly?
Because the higher time frames are more powerful.
Correct. Correct. The higher time frames are going to tell me the truth, right? It's not going to give me what's going on in 5 minutes. It's going to tell me the overall picture, right? And the overall picture is what on Euro USD?
Sell.
I agree. It's selling. Okay. So now we're going to go to the weekly. I want to go back to the monthly because I want you to notice I drew this break of structure. You see that?
Yeah.
And when we have a break of structure, we expect at some point price to go back up to the order block that causes break of structure. And that's either going to be here or here. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to the weekly. What's going on the weekly?
I can see like pullback on the weekly candle.
Okay, it went down and it pulled back. Now we go to the daily. What do you think?
I'm still saying like sell, although there was a pullback.
Okay. You're still thinking that it's going to sell?
Yeah.
Does anybody disagree?
Think it's gonna retrace up some? before
Yeah,
it
is that not a, right, is there not a tiny order block down there that it just bounced off of?
Well, I think it did bounce off the order block. But so here's where fundamentals come into our analysis, right?
Yeah.
What happened?
There was a break of structure.
Okay, outside of, I'm talking about fundamentally. What happened with the euro and the USD?
Oh,
Got a raise height, raise height.
Right. It is it. We didn't forget that, right? Like last week, the US dollar raised the interest rate 75 basis points. Like y'all understand that, right?
Yes.
So if interest rates are the fundamental driver of currency markets, what does that mean? What should happen?
It should be selling.
And then yes, the USD should sell.
That's correct. Euro should sell. This pair should sell. Anything with USD on the back should start selling.
Mhm.
But before it could sell, what had to happen?
Retrace.
Right. So if you look at it, it retraced. It hit our golden zone, right? Y'all agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then it starts selling. So you have to kind of build a case for what you're looking at. Now, we're not going to ignore everything structure-wise, right? But we do have an expectation. So when I look at this chart, structure-wise, what do I have?
Lower lows.
a high, low, high.
Swing high, I mean swing low.
A swing low. Now, what does this mean? What does a swing low mean? What do you expect from a swing low? And I don't want y'all to answer this. I want you to answer this.
Yeah. Swing low, I think you should expect buying. Price to increase.
You should expect what, Rhonda?
Buy. Hold on 1 minute. Somebody's
I agree. I agree with what you're saying. All right. So if you get a swing low, swing lows are generally speaking, they're protected lows, right? But in this case, we understand that there's a fundamental reason for the market to go lower. So what if, right? What do we have at a swing low? What's at swing lows? Liquidity, right? I don't even know where my little text box is. Okay. Okay, so there's dollars. There's liquidity at the swing low. So if I'm looking at this market, I know there's money here. I know there's an imbalance here. I just marked it out. Did y'all see the imbalance? Rosa, did you see that imbalance right there?
Yeah, I see it.
Did you see it before I marked it?
No, I was looking down at the swing low.
Okay. So it's always important when you do your analysis that you understand where the money is, right? There's money here. There's money here. The next place that there are money are at or above these highs, right? So if we expect fundamentally, right, the market to push down, then we have to understand where our target areas are, you know. So on the lower time frames, as you drop down, Rhonda, you would start looking for clues as to what this market is telling you, right?
Okay.
And the lower I drop, the more I see buying pressure, right? So when you zoom out just to this last low, you can see that you get higher lows, right? Higher highs and higher lows. Y'all see
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
So there's a possibility that this market could run up and touch this area of liquidity, right? And if it does touch this area of liquidity, does this fall into your realm of reality as a trader? Where is this liquidity?
Are the imbalance?
Yeah, there's an imbalance here, but look at on your fib. This right here is the 78.6. Y'all see
Yeah.
that?
Yep.
So it's a very real possibility that price will come back to this imbalance before it pushes down. It's very real. So I'm looking for price to push down, but I'm not forcing this action, right? What I want to see on these lower time frames, I want to see lower lows and lower highs, right? So that can happen now since we've already entered the discounted range, or price can push up further. So I don't know if you guys remember or were on the call when me and my brother were talking. He's saying that like now he doesn't really like to take trades unless he takes them at the 78.6. Have you heard him say that?
Yes.
So the reason why is because he doesn't want to be in drawdown. Like if you had gotten this trade now, or once it hit the golden zone, you would be in profit. But sometimes it's going to pull back further and you go from profit to drawdown. Now, if you understand how the market moves, you won't panic here, right? If you don't over leverage, you should be able to go and draw down from this level to the 78.6 before it pushes down. So my directional bias, I say all this to try to paint a picture on how I view the market and get my directional bias, right? I understand that the overall market is pushing down.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it has to push down right now. So my overall bias is for the sell, but I can't jump in for a sell whenever the market structure is telling me that the price is buying. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does everybody understand that?
Yes, yes, that makes sense because that what gets me too. I can see on the weekly that it's selling, but when I go into other things, I say, "Oh, this is going up." So I change everything and say, "Oh no, this is not going the way the weekly is, the monthly is showing." That what
Yeah.
confuses me too.
Right.
Yeah.
So in order to avoid confusion, you know, if you watch, were you here the last 3 weeks when we covered market structure?
Yes.
So if you paid attention to those videos, I think Pips of Persia did a great job of explaining that even though this is a sale on the different time frames, you're going to have different trends going on. So even though it's selling on the monthly, on this 2-hour chart, it's buying, right? So what you have to wait for is for the lower time frames to start breaking structure to the downside. And then you can see it on the higher time frames, it'll start breaking structure when it starts selling, right? The best way to do this, I don't, what chart time frame do you trade?
4 hour and 15 minutes.
You trade the 1 hour and the 15 minute?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what I think you have to do is, I think you need to take your analysis from the 4 hour, right?
Okay.
So if you look at this 4 hour chart, it very clearly is buying, right?
Yeah.
You see that?
Yes.
You got low, higher low, higher low, high, higher high, higher high. So on this 4 hour chart, it's buying, and it's buying until this low is broken on the 4 hour chart. You see this?
Yes.
So you have, you can't sell, you can't start looking for sales on the 1 hour until this 4 hour low is taken out.
Okay.
This will help you with your directional bias. So even though, and you can expect that this will be broken at some point, we just don't know when. But until then, you can't sell, you can't take sales and expect them to work out for you.
Okay.
Now, this is my area of interest, you know, where I would start looking for shorts, because I understand that this imbalance has a higher likelihood of being taken out during this uptrend before price pushes down. Do I have any other questions?
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Anyone? Does anybody have any questions? All right. If y'all don't have any questions, I'll stop the recording, and we'll get into this swing traders call.